stray twig scratched her face, narrowly missing an eye. Daisy wriggled her torso in excitement. Cass patted the dog's head and gave her a biscuit. "There's a good girl." She rubbed both arms to relieve the aching, removed a glove, and felt for the wound on her face. Wincing, she pulled a tissue from under her sleeve and dabbed the gash clean. Stuffing the bloody tissue into her pocket, she picked up the leash and gazed along the street. It seemed clear. She glanced up in silent prayer. Progress. At last. As she trudged along, Daisy trotted intently with high steps. Cass sensed several sets of eyes watching her, but kept her head down, trying to ignore them. Portland had never been so quiet. No car horns in the distance, or people scurrying to catch the train into work. Apparently all it took was one afternoon without power to send the people of the city into hiding. Cass understood it, though. Given the riots and chaos she'd witnessed on her way home yesterday, she was sure people were expecting the worst. And the worst was yet to come. With the sky a dark gunmetal gray and the temperature below freezing, a storm was threatening. Behind her, she heard footsteps. She wasn't alone in the early morning streets. Cass quickened her pace. She'd encountered enough of humanity's awful side yesterday and wanted to get away from concentrations of people. Looking over her shoulder, she glimpsed a figure. It darted behind a tree. Was someone following her? Or perhaps it was her imagination? She picked up her steps to a jog, but as her feet slid on the icy path, she slowed her speed. Better safe than sorry. At the end of the street, she stopped and peered behind her. The coast was clear. Whoever it was must have slinked off. He probably just lived in one of the nearby houses. Paranoia was setting in. Time to get a grip. She glanced down at the dog and smiled. I'm being silly. Come on, Daisy girl, let's keep moving. Cass pulled back her shoulders and marched ahead. Her plan was to leave Portland for a few weeks to go stay at her parents' place, at least until everything bounced back. Walking to Meadowview, her tiny hometown just west of Bend, may not be the best idea when there was an ice storm about to pummel the state. With a forested wilderness, hills, and mountains sitting between her and home, even without the ice, it would be a challenging walk. A few years ago, an ice storm had hit Portland, taking out power and dumping ice and snow onto the city overnight. Curled up on the couch with Natasha and every blanket in their apartment, they'd made it through. Cass didn't want to go through that again. Not without power and her best friend to keep her sane. Besides, she'd been meaning to take some time off. It seemed like the universe had decided it was time to visit home and get out of the city for a while. Of course, it would have been an easier journey had her housemate and the boyfriend not stolen all of Cass's good camping gear. It stung, thinking of how easily her friend had turned her back on her and left her to fend for herself. Cass was upset at how little their friendship seemed to mean to Natasha. It meant that now she'd have to brave one of the retail stores between Portland and Meadowview, where the rest of the population would eventually end up panic buying bread, cans of food, toilet paper, and other random items as they waited for the power to return. Although the wind had picked up, it was too quiet. She'd figured that a few people would have generators whirring away, but there was nothing. Off in the distance, a dog barked, setting Daisy on edge. That was it. And the mysterious owner of the footsteps had disappeared too. It felt like she was back in the countryside where she'd grown up. The thought wasn't as comforting as she'd expected it to be. Not when she didn't know what was going on. She'd seen no flashing lights to indicate the police anywhere nearby, nor had she passed any power company trucks. It was as though she'd been caught in a surreal dream. Voices sent shivers through her body, but Cass grimaced through them as she neared the small crowd.